be fine. It's just a regular statement. There's a lot of people here, but don't worry about that. Okay, because they don't count. All right, let's go.
Good afternoon, judges. My name is Angus Dasser, representing the proposition side of this debate, stating that facial recognition technology does more harm than good. Judge, we are not living in a 1984-like society where everyone is controlled and moderated by the government. First, I will state our points. Our first point is that surveillance does not protect civil liberties. Our second point is the inaccuracy of the technology. And our third point is that it can be easily utilized by criminals. So to elaborate on our first point, so what surveillance does not provide is privacy from the government, from foreign powers, and from big corporations such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon. All of these companies have cameras that can surveillance all of the people's faces. And you can't choose your face, unlike your other identification tools. So as soon as you are identified by your face, like you cannot, like say someone gets your credit card, you can change your credit card number, you could apply for a new one, but you cannot really change your face. And that every person, whether a criminal or not, that walks past a camera any day is seen and can immediately be recognized facially. So everyone is getting tabbed on and is constantly being followed. And they say, and it was detected 85% out of images from the dating profiles of people detected in a survey were detected to be LGBT, and that's from Stanford. That means that people could look at your image and then run it through these facial recognition technologies and be like, oh, I don't want an LGBT person working in my workplace, taking away your civil liberties. It can also detect different mental and medical ailments, which is very true right of privacy, and that no one should really know other than yourself unless you wish for other people to know, which additionally takes away from your civil liberties. Our second point is the inaccuracy of the technology. A Floridian was wrongly arrested due to flawed iPhone pictures that sent him for jail due to drug charges that ruined his life. Another person in his community that looked almost like him was the true criminal, but because of the inaccuracy in the facial technologies, he was sent to jail and was permanently scarred for the rest of his life. Additionally, twins that are identical could easily be confused when using facial technologies because faces on identical twins are the same, but fingerprints and passwords are guaranteed to differ. Also, all cell phones with the technology have been able to be hacked so that you can analyze a person and see what's been going on. There's been significant testing on phones and facial technology to see how it works. Our third point is that it can be used by criminals. Hackers can find out when you're out of the country and very easily rob you, and that is from ncsl.org. That means that pretty much anybody can be like, oh, right now you're out of the country, because when you go through customs, they take an image of you and say that when you're not home, that's the perfect time to rob somebody. So by letting that information open to any hacker is detrimental to the people of the world. So now I'll restate our points. Our first point is that it does not protect civil liberties. Our second point is the inaccuracy of the technology and how people could be wrongly accused of crimes that they are not guilty of. And our third point is that they can be utilized by criminals to do very evil things. Thank you, Judge. My name is Angus Dasser, representing the proposition side of this debate, stating that facial recognition technology does more harm than good.
Facial recognition technology. It's been used as technology in sci-fi movies, books, Now it is quickly becoming not only a reality, but a necessity for use on one's day-to-day basis. Facial recognition technology is a biometric that analyzes the features of a person's face to identify or verify a person. This technology uses distinguishable characteristics such as nose width and checking shape to compare a digital way to your identity. Hello Judge, my name is Agni Rajnikanth and I'm probably supporting the opposite side of this debate, clearly disagreeing with the statement that facial recognition technology does more harm than good. I believe that facial recognition technology does more good than harm. Before I start this debate, I would like to rebut my opponent's points and then strengthen and state my own team's points. Their first point talked about how facial recognition technology does not protect our civil liberties. But Judge, what is more important, privacy or how facial recognition finds criminals, terrorists, and even lost people? Facial recognition is an emerging technology and has done a lot of good to our nation. Their second point talked about inaccuracy. But facial recognition software is an emerging technology. Although it has some inaccuracies right now, it is projected to improve by 45% by 2025, according to Washington Post. Their third and final point talked about criminals. But again, we can catch these same criminals using facial recognition technology. Therefore, since all their points are off the table, I would like to go and strengthen my own team's points. Our first point talks about how facial recognition technology prevents crime. Imagine police searching through a football stadium for a man they claim a terrorist. To locate them, they simply upload a picture into a video surveillance network using facial recognition. It searches everyone in the stadium within minutes or even seconds, locating the terrorist. Facial recognition technology is being used to locate terrorists, criminals, and even lost children. According to the Denver Post, not only does it help find these criminals, it also helps find schools and find intruders that are coming inside schools. And this might even be used to stop school shootings, just like Parkland. Facial recognition technology has been used to find 90,000 missing people and locate them back to their families. The amount of crime has been reduced by 45% due to facial recognition technology. It also prevents time fraud by job employees and reduces it by 45%. Our second point is that facial recognition technology has multiple uses in the industry. Facial recognition technology is vital and plays an important role in the medical field. According to a research done by the AMA Journal of Ethics, facial recognition technology plays a prominent role in the future of healthcare. It has been developed to predict health, longevity, and aging. The National Human Research Institute uses facial recognition to detect a rare disease called DiGeorge syndrome. A facial recognition has helped diagnose the disease 96% of the time, which has a 96% accuracy rate. Listerine has also developed a groundbreaking facial recognition tool that helps blind people use facial recognition during social conversations. For example, when someone is smiling, the facial recognition sends a trigger to the blind person, making them actively engage in social conversation. It also offers convenience and high security for airline passengers. According to a study done by the University of Dayton Beach, Florida, facial recognition technology has developed a system to use facial recognition for security in airlines. It has helped reduce staff and shorter boarding times. Airways are able to board 400 passengers in just 22 minutes or less. Delta said facial recognition technology in Atlanta reduces the boarding time by 9 minutes. This has saved $500,000 for the airline company. For these reasons and many more, that it prevents crime, criminals, helps reduce the airport time, and helps in the medical industry, are reasons why you should vote to the opposite side of this debate. Thank you, Judge.
Judges. My name is Sophia Rice. I'm debating from the proposition side of this debate, saying that facial recognition technology does more harm than good. I'd like to lay out a roadmap for you. I will begin by refuting my opponent's points, then I will strengthen my own assertions, add an additional assertion of my own, and then, if time allows, later debate. Okay, I'd like to begin by refuting their points by saying, their first one said that they would prevent crimes, and you could upload pictures to find terrorists or school shooters or any of those things. Well, the technology has been proven to currently be inaccurate in the recent case in Florida.
Projected to improve.
It might be projected to improve, but we can't be implementing an ineffectual technology right now. The debate isn't about facial technology doing more harm than good in the present. We're not looking towards the future. We're looking at right today. It's been shown to be inaccurate in many cases. A major case that got a lot of media attention was a case in Florida where a man was wrongly convicted of drug charges, major drug charges, and was then ultimately sentenced without the information. Yes?
Judge, the evidence cited by the proposition in the case in Florida refers to the use of facial recognition in iPhones. But relative to the facial recognition used in security, iPhone facial recognition is very undeveloped and is nothing compared to the ones used otherwise.
Well, that is the Florida case is not the only case. There have been people, when they tested it in different airports, they would, before it was actually formally released, they were testing it in airports and it was ineffectual. They tested it through many images of people and they could not always catch the wrong people. Additionally, they tried running pictures of the members of Congress through the software and it actually wrongly identified members of Congress as possible terrorists. Additionally, they said that there are multiple usages in medical fields to predict aging and diagnose diseases. However, that may be true. That is only one usage of it. It doesn't address the problems with civil liberties, the inaccuracy of it, and the usage by criminals. Additionally, they said that we could actually use the technology to catch the criminals that would be hacking the system. However, if a criminal is smart enough to know how to hack a system, they will also know how to avoid the system, how to use different disguises, and how to protect themselves so they're not getting caught. Because that's what they're not in this messed up way that it is. Additionally, they said that it can help find missing people, and it can help find. They can help find possible school shooters. I will address that further in my speech, but those algorithms that are written by people to try and to find those people that are accused of being school shooters or of showing aggressive tendencies actually plays into a larger racist platform because it is utilizing a program that is written by people and who have their own preconceived notions, their own unconscious biases that they're bringing into the software because people who are minorities and who look different than whatever these traditional is actually going to get indicted for these different charges when they might be innocent. To go into my own assertion, it does not protect civil liberties. If you have facial recognition technology, you can be walking down the street and charged for a crime that you didn't commit. And additionally, companies such as Facebook and Amazon and Google are actually selling their facial recognition technology to foreign governments to actually take away from American citizens civil liberties and to give them to other countries so they can run their own metrics and try and influence things. To go back to speaking accuracy, we talked about the Florida case, the case with the members of Congress, how they were misidentified as terrorists and as aggressive people. And additionally, in part of the civil liberties, to go back to that, people's mental health and tendencies can be identified by facial recognition technology, which if someone's mental health status can be identified by facial recognition technology, if the employer can run their face through facial recognition technology and the program will say this person is depressed or is schizophrenic, and that person doesn't get hired without any reason, they're just getting, it's being unjustly buried. Additionally, it can be used by criminals, which my teammates earlier. And fourth, there's a racist basis behind it. Sorry, but there's a racist meaning behind all of it because humans have their own ideas, and no one is truly unbiased, and it's stuck in the program. My teammates will go over it. Thank you. My name is Sophia Rice for the proposition side of this debate. Thank you.
Hello, Judge. My name is Matthew Clarke, and I'm on the opposite side of this debate, strongly believing that facial recognition technology does more good than harm. Now, before I state my three main assertions, I'd like to refute some of the points brought up by the proposition. They mentioned accuracy issues, and they mentioned that twins are hard to tell apart. But Judge, facial recognition technology is way more accurate than the naked eye is. Facial recognition technology examines eye width, exact skin tone, and many other facial features that the naked eye cannot detect. And then they also mentioned that facial recognition technology is utilized by criminals. However, facial recognition technology actually prevents more crimes than it allows. The ratio of crimes prevented to the amount of crimes committed because of facial recognition technology is an abysmal 7-2. Judge, facial recognition technology does more good than harm. Now I'd like to state my three main assertions and then go into more detail. My first assertion is that facial recognition technology prevents crime. My second assertion is that facial recognition technology is used in industries. And my third and final assertion is that facial recognition technology helps retailers combat fraud returns. Now I'd like to go into more detail. My first assertion, facial recognition technology prevents crimes. Since the turn of the millennium, few themes have shaped the global discourse as much as terrorism has. On September 20th, 2001, George W. Bush declared war on terror during the reactionary speech in what he sent America to war with Al-Qaeda following the September 11th attacks in New York. The phrase war on terror has now become synonymous with American foreign policy in the Middle East, alongside the foreign policy of many of America's allies. In the year of 2018 alone, 18,753 people were killed by terrorists who already had a criminal record. And did you know that if countries where these acts of terror were committed used facial recognition technology, these lives would have been saved? Facial recognition technology will put an end to all of these senseless killings. And my second assertion is that facial recognition technology is used in industry. Now, my first speaker already mentioned how facial recognition technology is used in the medical field, but now I'd like to explain to you how it is used in schools. In addition to making schools safer, facial recognition technology has the ability to track students' attendance. Traditionally, attendance sheets can allow students to sign in another student who is ditching class. However, China is already using facial recognition technology to ensure students are not skipping class. Tablets are used to scan students' faces and match their photos against a database to validate their identities. And since facial recognition technology was introduced in these schools in China, the attendance rate has actually gone up 5%. Facial recognition surveillance systems actually instantly identify when expelled students, dangerous parents, drug dealers, and other individuals that pose a threat to school safety enter school grounds. By alerting school security guards in real time, facial recognition reduces the risk of violent acts on school property. And my third and final assertion is that facial recognition technology helps retailers combat fraudulent returns. Many companies have return policies that don't require receipts, but retail criminals are eager to take advantage of these generous policies. Facial recognition technology will provide retailers with a much-needed intelligence layer that can help them assess the validity of returns. According to the NRF, 10.8% of returns made are actually fraudulent, costing the retail industry $9.6 billion per year. And now I'd like to restate my three main assertions and leave you with the closing. My first assertion is that facial recognition technology prevents crimes. My second assertion is that facial recognition technology is used in industry. And my third and final assertion is that facial recognition technology helps retailers combat fraudulent returns.
And judge and audience, I'd like to leave you with this. We, the opposition, have spoken about how facial recognition technology prevents crimes, keeps schools safer, and helps retailers combat fraud. These reasons far outweigh any of the proposition's reasons, and I encourage you to vote for the opposition side of this debate, strongly believing that facial recognition technology does more good than harm. Thank you.
Judge, imagine being late to catch a flight. You have to worry about getting through security since it is a very slow process. But what if I were to tell you that security would take less than a minute? This can be possible using facial recognition. Facial recognition technology can be and has been used for security of public buildings such as airports. Facial recognition technology is used in airport security to catch criminals, and even as a more efficient way of providing ownership of your plane ticket. The technology is growing at monumental rates and becoming increasingly popular, so there is no reason to back down from it. Last summer, facial recognition was implemented in an airport in Orlando as a form of security and as a digital boarding pass. Since implementation, there have been no faults with the system. Hello, Judge. My name is Keyon. I'm on the opposite side of the debate, clearly disagreeing with the motion. Facial recognition technology does more harm than good. First, allow me to lay out a roadmap for my speech. I'll review all the claims of my opponent, then I will review and crystallize my team's arguments, then I will weigh the debate and tell you why exactly the opposition should win. Now I'll move on to my refutations. Judge, proposition's first argument was that facial technology does not support civil liberties and privacy. But no matter the superstitions associated with facial recognition, the government's #1 priority is the security of American citizens. The security virtues clearly outweigh the hypothetical downfalls, such as the one in the proposition's example about LGBT employment. Judge, the proposition stated that facial recognition technology is inaccurate, but the technology is still developing, and these inaccuracies are insignificant compared to all of the accurate verification and identification as a result of facial recognition technology. I would like to add that they cited iPhone facial recognition as a part of their evidence, but iPhone recognition is very undeveloped relative to the facial recognition technology used for security in public places such as airports and schools. For the most part, facial recognition technology has proven to be very functional, and yet is still growing over time. Their third argument is that facial recognition can be manipulated by hacking criminals. But some facial recognition technology is used by more facial recognition technology is used by the government, much more than criminals, which supports our motion, more good than harm. Additionally, hacking is a possibility for literally any technological platform. If we were to go by that, then all technology does more harm than good, because yes, the possibility of hacking does exist. And the same goes for facial recognition technology. That's not, but for that reason, we shouldn't rule it out just because, yes, it can be manipulated. Anything can be abused or manipulated, but we need to look at the majority here. They said facial recognition technology is racist, but when we mentioned the identification and verification of people such as criminals, we were not referring to the color of their skin. Instead, we were referring to the cases like Parkland shooting, where the shooter's name and features were literally in the FBI database. If the FBI and federal government were to use facial recognition technology, lives would be saved, Judge. Judge, finally, they mentioned some inaccuracies, such as the one in Congress, but these mistakes are compensated for. When it comes to the lives of American citizens, we'd rather be safe than sorry. Therefore, it's better to have the system in place and live with the inaccuracies than not have this type of security. This technology has been developed and is growing. It'd be a shame if the U.S. government did not take advantage of it. Judge, now I'd like to go on to reviewing my team's arguments. Our first argument was that facial recognition technology prevents crimes. As I said, the number one priority of the United States government is to save lives, and facial recognition technology is doing so at the moment. Our second argument was that facial recognition is used in industry. Industries such as airports, schools, and hospitals use facial recognition on a day-to-day basis. Our third argument was that facial recognition technology offers convenience and high security for airlines and passengers. And our fourth and final argument was that facial recognition technology helps retailers combat fraud returns. Now I'll move on to weighing this debate. Judge, we have provided a multi-dimensional argument. Facial recognition is the future. Facial recognition technology has revolutionized security, industry, human verification, and convenience in general. As facial recognition advances, minor issues will be forgotten, while the benefits will continue to change the world around us. Thank you.
Hello, judges. My name is Sean Healy, and I'm representing the rebuttal side of this debate. And as the proposition, we believe that facial recognition technologies do more harm than good to the American people. Let me lay out a short roadmap for you. I would like to start by refuting all of my opponent's points. If time allows, I will continue to elaborate on my team's points, and if time further allows, I will weigh the debate. Let me start by refuting my opponent's points. They started that technology will improve. However, the harmful downsides of facial recognition technologies are hurting us right now. There's nothing that we can do about the inadequate technologies that are being used every day, whether we know it or not, that are harming the lives of thousands of Americans, even millions, every single day. Judge, we cannot choose whether or not we are being used in facial recognition. It's being used in every CCTV camera, it's being used on our cell phones, it's being used everywhere that you see a camera. And before you know it, the government will know every single thing that they want to know about you. Because right now, we are putting the price of the few minutes saved at the airport, those few minutes at baggage claim, those few minutes at a retail store. We're pricing those at the price of our privacy, the price of our freedom, and the price of our civil liberties. They said that children are being found using facial recognition. However, kids have been found for many years before facial recognition. They said that it reduces boarding time for planes, and it can help retailers combat returns. However, these are simple day-to-day things that they are trying to put a price on our personal freedoms and our personal independence from our government in order so that we can save a few minutes every day. But that is not worth the price that we are going to be paying with putting our face on everything that we own. They called these superstitions that we have with facial recognition. But there are numbers backing the flaws that the facial recognition technology has, including the racist and homophobic technology that facial recognition is. It can identify people that belong in the LGBTQ community and can help employ and will allow employers to deliberately not employ them. They said that iPhone tech is underdeveloped when iPhone tech was used in the Florida Man case. However, devices other than iPhones were used in the Congress case where 85% of minority members of Congress were deemed as a threat, and the Stanford study which found which identified 80% of pictures to be LGBT members. iPhone was the only one that passed the test that Mashable did for facial recognition, where it could identify the difference between twins and could identify the difference between people that look similar. They said that it can detect when dangerous people enter school property. However, these technologies continue to be racist and can negatively impact people that are not deemed a threat just because of the color of their skin. They said that China uses it in their schools to track attendance and to see when dangerous people are entering their property. However, China is very different than the country we live in. China does not protect the civil liberties of its citizens, and China does not protect what we hold dear as American citizens. China has no individual rights. China does not hold the individual to be more important than the government. They said that it helps retailers combat returns. However, the solution to this is to improve your retail policies.
make sure that people have their receipts when they're returning something, instead of jeopardizing the civil liberties of our people. Judges, facial recognition technology is creating us to have more and more reliance on the government. The government is going to know every single thing about every single person in this room and in the world. They're going to know who you are, who I am, and everything about us. And before you know it, we're not going to have any option in this choice. They said that government's main job is safety, but we need to protect our privacy before any other option in our lives. Because our privacy is what makes each individual person an individual. Because privacy is what makes us American citizens, a protected right under the Constitution. Judge, I would now like to weigh the debate. As a proposition, multiple of our arguments are still standing, including the racist and homophobic actions of facial recognition technology, and all of the opposition's points have been taken down. The proposition has continued to explain why facial recognition technology is more harmful than good. There are good aspects of it, those few minutes that you're saving every time you're going to the store. But the harm that you're causing by using facial recognition technology far outweighs the good. Judge, I would please like you to please vote for the proposition side of this debate. Thank you.